Good morning. Hi, everyone. I'm Kevin Gregg. For those of you that were trying to join us live this morning, some technical difficulties. That's okay. That's how things happen. Glad to have you here. Several things that were on my mind. I write down um, ideas that I want to talk about, and then you just have these awesome curveballs that come your way, and you just go, you know what? This is what I'm going to talk about. Make sure I'm recording everything. Perfect. Um, the same time that I do these whenever I do the live streams on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, or the recorded version of the live stream. Just before that, I have a morning prayer devotional that I do with a group of guys, and boy, it was awesome. Like we just had a guy. There's a friend of ours that's been dealing with some medical issues, and thank God for technology, right? Like this guy was able to show up right on his phone and just check in with us. And God, it was such an amazing thing, right? Here's this guy that we've been concerned about, and he's still going through some serious issues, but to be able to just see him and to talk to him and to just get sort of a live update of what's going on with him, it's just like God bless technology, man. And the fact that you've got like all these other brothers that are there, and I will tell you what, man, like sometimes these medical issues that pop up in our life, they just, boy, they snap everything into focus, don't they? um I was sharing on that group this morning that I was having this moment where I was having a bit of a pity party for myself yesterday, where I was thinking about all the things that I want, all the things I'm striving for. And I'll admit it, man, there's times where I act like a at least taking a step back and looking in. Hindsight's 2020, but there's times where I act like a petulant kid with God, where I just go, I wanted this, man. I wanted this. I've been trying to do all these things in a row. And oddly enough, the devotional that we were doing together was about um, God answering prayers. The suggestion that was in the devotional was about when we have these moments where God does answer our prayers in life, to write that down and to have it as a reference, right? It's like looking back as sort of having something that you can be grateful for. And I've done this before in the past. Uh, I've done it before with my Bible app, or verses of scripture, or books that I've read where there's something that really sticks out, and then bookmark it, put it off in another document so that when I'm going through a low point that I can go back and then refer to that. Um, but this struck me too. I was thinking about something that Rick Warren has said, and it applied to this devotion this morning, which is God always answers prayers. And sometimes the answer that I have received to my request is no. No, I am not going to give that to you, because that's not the best thing for you in your life. I've talked about this on other shows, but one of the big dreams that I had for myself when I was in my 20s and starting out as an actor was I was convinced that I was going to be a sitcom star. That's what I thought was going to happen for me. Always good in comedy, sketch things, and I just thought, yeah, this is the direction I'm going to go, and it never landed for me. Um, and I do look back. Hey, buddy, you can take a break. You're good. Yeah, it's my son. He always wants to pop in every once in a while. Um, but I'm yeah. You can take a break, bud. Go for it. Go take a break. Thanks. It's what it is when you're recording the home. I'm not gonna shy away from that stuff. Um, but you know what? There are definitely times where I was in my early 20s. Um, I'm grateful that that didn't happen, because I don't think it would have turned out well. I think it could have led ultimately to alcohol abuse, like major alcohol abuse, major stuff, like it would not have been good. It wouldn't have been good. And so I got to take a look and take a step back and go, all right. And sometimes God says, not now. I'm not going to answer that right now or not yet. There's something else I'm gearing you up for, and you're not ready for it. I think that that's something that I'm revisited with time and time and time again. It's like, you're not ready for it yet, or you haven't done the work for it yet. One of the thoughts I had jotted down for this morning was two things I'm going to touch on this morning. I'm going to touch on this concept of I deserve this, and we're also going to touch briefly on the concept of relativism. Two big topics. The first one is this feeling of deserving something. I deserve this. Nobody deserves anything. Nobody deserves anything just for what? For just being, to just go, this is something I deserve this. This is my right. We get tangled up, right, with these things that we say, this is my right. Um, I'm not going to unpack that too much because I didn't do much research or talk about this, but it's a phrase that you hear a lot. I remember years ago, man, I was working on a theater company with a friend of mine, and listen, this was around the time, I would say in the late 80s, late 1980s, early 1990s, there was a lot of um, arts grants and stuff that was going out. There'd be national grants for all this other stuff. And there was a time in the arts circuit, particularly in performing arts, where it felt like they were just giving away money to artists. And I remember I was working on a company thing with a friend of mine, and he just had this feeling of like, we should be getting money for this. But the first thing that popped in the back of my mind was like going, well, we haven't shown anything. Like, we haven't proven anything. You can write down, eh, you can kind of write a proposal of what it is that you want to do. And sometimes those proposals can be amazing, but there's also crafting that has to go with that. Whenever you hear about pitches that happen for movies or television shows, I mean, you got to do some serious pitching. You got to do some serious stuff so that when the people that are going to take the money out of their pocket and invest in it know that there's going to be some kind of return, you've got to give them a taste of the possibility of what that is. What it can't be is the idea of like, well, I just want this. I just want this and I want this to happen, because there's a little bit, there is an exchange of goods. There's an exchange of goods. And there's something about merit. You'll hear this a lot, meritocracy. What does meritocracy mean? Meritocracy is the idea that you've been doing the work, you show what you can do, and because of that, you earn certain things. It's not just about deserving something. It's a very, very, very big thing for me, earning it. Now, can people come along and take advantage of that? Absolutely. People can take advantage of that. I feel it, man. I feel like I've had that happen many times throughout my career, where I've done things and have been involved in projects, and I am doing work above and beyond what I'm actually getting paid for, right? The valuation is like the complete opposite way. Um, but anyway, just this concept of like, I deserve something. I think I bring that up this morning in this show today because I do that with God. I deserve this. Why? Why? Nothing more powerful than the end of the book of Job. At the end of the book of Job, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, so here's Job, who's this guy who he had a very successful life. He was successful in business. He had, wife, children, all this stuff. And in the space of like a day, everything gets wiped out. Like his crops, his herds get wiped out. Uh, his several of his children get killed. Uh, his he ends up like breaking out in boils, like everything is gone, wiped out. And he's a guy that like loves and trusts and praises God in the story. Um, his wife leaves him, like his wife is like going, "What have you done? This causes," and he's not at fault, right? He's not at fault. But in this story, God has allowed Satan to run this on him because Satan says the only reason he loves you is because things are going great in his life. And so God allows this test to happen where he allows Satan to do this stuff. And throughout the entire thing, the thing that is redeeming for Job is, he's screaming and he's yelling and he's just saying, "I wish I was never been born," and he's dealing with all this stuff. But he never rebukes God. Like he never fully turns away from God. He always comes back like going, "What did I do? What did I do? Woe is me." Like a lot of this stuff where he is feeling sorry for himself in it. And rightfully so, because he's going just through this tragedy. He can't make heads or tails of it. At the end of the book, at the end of the book of Job, God appears. And Job kind of asks, "Why did this happen to me? Why did you have this happen?" And there's several verses, like the book ends on a very like, whoa, like it's a very powerful word from God that says, "Who are you? Were you there when I created the world, when I did all this stuff, when you see the creatures, on this planet, or the things that you can't understand that happen all around you, you know, the things that you don't understand in this greater life, and yet you're going to ask me why I do the things I do." And it's not as much of an admonishment, but it's almost like there are things that are happening that are beyond your understanding and your control. And understand that I'm God, that I'm sovereign, and that I see what's happening with the bigger picture. And yet, here we are at times wanting to have things go exactly the way that we want them to go. Um, and that ain't it. Final thought. I think I'll talk on this just, will I? I'm going to save it for another episode because I think it really is its own thing. At some point, I really want to talk about just this general concept. We'll revisit it, but not today. Relativism versus objective truth. Relativism versus objective truth. Just brief primer about what that is. Relativism is the thing where you say, um, well, what's good for you, or what's good for you, or whatever's good for you, that's good. You do you. You do you. That's a perfect example of relativism. Relativism is whatever works for you, or whatever works for you, or whatever works for you, that's fine, right? And a lot of people approach life that way, of just going, "Hey, that's okay. Whatever works for you, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine." There's that. And also this other phrase, which I am not a fan of. Well, my truth or your truth, right? Whenever we hear those words, my truth or your truth or his truth or her truth, right? Um, Truth is an absolute. It's an absolute truth, or objective truth. A thing is a thing. And I learned this years ago. And again, I'm just touching on this briefly because I think it merits its own episode. Feelings are a useful thing. Feelings are very useful. They can help guide us. They can link up with the imagination so that we can understand what direction that we're supposed to go in. we also have to be aware that feelings are not facts. And I remember having this when I first got into a men's Bible study with a couple of guys, and I talked about like, well, I really want to just, sometimes I just follow my heart. I listen to what my heart is. And somebody that was in the group, God bless him, man, but he was said, yeah, but we can't forget about the brain. We can't forget about the brain and the thinking and the idea of objective truth, which is there are some things in this world that are absolute, right? We can't say, and we do have to realize this, because if we don't recognize that there are things that have absolute truth, where there's either a yes or a no in this situation. I can look out the window, look up at the sky, and say, is the sky blue? Yes or no? Yes, it is blue. It's blue because of the atmosphere and all the stuff that happens, but yes, it is blue. So we know that there are things that are absolute, right? Do I breathe oxygen in order to live? Yes. So we understand that there are things that are absolutes, that's either a yes or a no. I think that one of the big things that's happened um, in our society, in our culture, is that blended this, we've blended a lot of facts and feelings. And so what's happened is certain things that we have a little bit of give on and can have some interpretation, some interpretation, some ideas of expressing thoughts, having dialogue, having discussion on some stuff. Um, what's happened is that we have moved some things that are absolutes, that we have like yes or no answers on, and now we've moved it into a soft, gooey area of, oh yeah, whatever works for you, or whatever works for you, or his truth, her truth, my truth, whatever that stuff is. And I think that that's something to be addressed. I think that there's things when we start moving when we start moving the facts just into the feeling realm, we start getting into dangerous territory. That's a discussion for another episode soon. Could be next episode. It may not be. I don't know. I don't have the answers. The point is, I'm just glad that I had the opportunity to have this episode with you guys today. Please like and subscribe. If you like this video and you want to share it with other people, please do. Um, Go to kevingregg.com to find out more information about this and other shows. You guys liking and subscribing to this just helps get the word out there. So, thanks everybody. God bless you and have a great day. Bye bye.